You're staring at that opportunity. It could be an investment, a course, your own business, something you know could change your life. The money is there. You have it. But when it's time to hit confirm, your fingers freeze. It's not about the price. It's about what comes after. It's about having to admit to the world, and especially to yourself, that you believe you deserve more. That you're no longer willing to settle for leftovers. That you're choosing to leave the safe zone of mediocrity. In that moment, a familiar voice whispers, "What if it goes wrong? What if you're not good enough? What if they find out you're a fraud?" Your chest tightens. You close the page. You tell yourself you'll think it over. But it's not about thinking. It's about feeling. You're afraid of your own power. Afraid of discovering what you're capable of once you stop sabotaging yourself. Afraid of having to take responsibility for the extraordinary life you've always pretended not to want. And then you realize something unsettling. You're not afraid of not having money. You're afraid of having it. Afraid of what it would reveal about who you really are, about what you truly want, about the life you could be living if you stopped playing small. This fear wasn't born with you. It was planted, watered, and carefully nurtured over the years by people who were also afraid of their own power. You learned that wanting too much was greed, that standing out was arrogance, that people like you should just be grateful for the little they had. You grew up hearing that money doesn't bring happiness, but never questioned why that phrase always came from people who didn't have any. You absorbed the belief that being humble meant shrinking yourself, that being good meant not wanting anything for yourself. Remember that time you mentioned a bigger dream and someone said, "Be more realistic"? Or when you talked about an ambitious project and heard, "Don't aim too high"? Those words settled inside you like invisible programs, quietly defining the size of the life you're allowed to dream of. And so, you built an entire life on top of that lie. A life where you feel guilty for wanting more, where you sabotage yourself every time you're about to achieve something greater, where every opportunity for emotional growth turns into a source of anxiety. You developed an impressive expertise in convincing yourself that you don't need more, that you're content, that ambitious people are shallow. That money corrupts, but deep down, that's just the sophisticated way you've found to avoid the risk of trying and finding out what you're truly capable of. You're not afraid of money. You're afraid of being powerful, afraid of taking up the space that was always yours by right, afraid of your own inner strength. The truth is, you chose scarcity because it's predictable. It protects you from the risk of disappointment, from failing in front of others, from having to uphold a higher standard. Financial mediocrity became your shield against expectations, your own and everyone else's. But that shield comes at a cost. You live with the constant feeling that you're wasting your life, that you're taking up less space than you deserve, that you're betraying your own dreams in the name of a security that deep down you know is an illusion. Because the life you're living, this "at least I'm safe" life, isn't safe. It's a voluntary prison. It's you choosing to die a little every day just to avoid the risk of truly living. You've become an expert at convincing yourself that you don't want the very things you deeply desire. You look at someone who's achieved what you've always wanted and think, they got lucky, or they must have come from money, or they probably did something shady. Anything but admitting they simply gave themselves permission to want more, and went after it. And with every opportunity you let slip by, every no you say to yourself, you reinforce the belief that you don't deserve more. You train your brain to settle for less. You become a master of self-sabotage. You built a false sense of authenticity based on limitation, as if being true to yourself meant accepting crumbs, as if humility meant staying small, as if developing your potential was somehow a betrayal of your values. But here's the truth no one ever told you. You can be both integrity-driven and prosperous. You can be generous and abundant. You can have strong values and a strong bank account. The idea that these things are mutually exclusive is just another limiting belief you bought into without ever questioning. But today, something can change. It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can simply be you recognizing that you deserve more than what you've been allowing yourself to receive. It can be you looking in the mirror and saying, I deserve prosperity. I deserve abundance. I deserve to take up space in this world without apologizing for it. It can be you realizing that having money doesn't make you a worse person. It gives you the resources to be who you truly are. That prosperity isn't about showing off, it's about emotional freedom. Freedom to choose. Freedom to contribute. Freedom to live according to your values, not your limitations. The revolution begins the moment you stop hiding behind false modesty and admit that you want more, that you've always wanted more. That it is your natural right to want more. You realize that your relationship with money mirrors your relationship with your own worth. And as long as you treat yourself like you don't deserve abundance, you'll keep creating a life of scarcity. Not just financially, but emotionally, professionally, personally. True self-awareness begins when you stop lying to yourself about what you want. When you admit, yes, you would like to have more resources. Yes, you would love to travel to those places. Yes, you would prefer not to worry about bills. And no, that doesn't make you superficial. True self-esteem isn't about settling for less. It's about believing you deserve prosperity and pursuing it with integrity. It's about understanding that your emotional independence also depends on your financial independence. So, let me ask you, how much longer are you going to pretend you're satisfied with crumbs? How much longer will you use scarcity as an excuse not to discover what you're truly capable of? The fear you feel when you think about having more, it's not a sign to stop. It's a sign that you're on the edge of breaking a pattern that has limited you your entire life. Because deep down, you've always known. You're capable of so much more than you've allowed yourself. You have ideas, talents, visions that could not only transform your life, but also impact the world around you. But you buried all of it under layers of realism and humility. The life you're living isn't humble, it's fearful. It's not realistic, it's limited. It's not wise, it's fear disguised as virtue. Your prosperity doesn't take anything away from anyone. Your personal growth doesn't diminish others. Your abundance doesn't create scarcity in the world. On the contrary, the more you grow, the more you have to give. The more prosperous you become, the more you can contribute. The world doesn't need your smallness. The world needs your greatness. It needs you to stop hiding and step into the role that has always been yours. It needs you to develop your gifts and put them in service of something greater. And that starts with you no longer being afraid of your own power. It starts with you giving yourself permission to want more, to deserve more, to achieve more. The question isn't whether you're capable. You already know you are. The question is, are you willing to let go of your excuses and find out how far your inner strength can take you? The time is now. The opportunity is this one. And you've always been bigger than your fears. If this video spoke to something real inside you, give it a like so more people can find this reflection. And in the comments, tell me, what was the first belief about money you ever learned? Let's start dismantling these inherited stories together.